All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at the 2025 Skills USA National Conference. And we're spending some time with Skillveri. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
So I'm very intrigued with the way that our industry is moving into virtual education. There's a lot of times as educators, we don't have enough physical time in the classroom to teach all of the topics that we are required to. So oftentimes we will assign homework so that we can have the students understand things from a different perspective, but then also bring them into the classroom and do virtual reality classes while we're waiting to have that individual time with the instructor. Now, one thing that sets your product apart from others that I've seen in the industry is it doesn't require the use of the hand controllers. Tell me a little bit about that.
So for the HVAC, you just wear the headset and then use your real hand. So as you can see in the video, you have virtual objects coming up.
It shows as a virtual hand. Right.
So your own hands will show up as a virtual hand. You pick up tools, virtual tools, and then do the operations like turning the knobs, connecting the hoses. Taking the foam spray and then finding out where the bubbles are coming.
Okay.
So it feels very natural. So you wear it, you feel immersed in a room, and you have the HVAC unit in front of you, and the instructor can simulate different faults, and then can ask the student to rectify those faults. And which you could do in the real world, and I believe you should do in the real world. But this makes it like a primer before you go to the actual equipment.
And I really like how it simulates having the hand motion in there.
It feels very natural.
Because a lot of times when we're using something in our palm, we're actually holding on to it. And so our hand's not in a natural motion, where this can allow us to feel more like a natural effort inside of the software. Very cool. All right, so tell me about the programs that you offer. So it's not just HVAC. What else do you work with?
So our flagship programs are ones for welding. There are 4 types of welding that we have: the MIG, the stick, the TIG, and the flux core. And we have spray painting with either collision repair for the auto body repair, or we have the automotive OEM, which teaches you how to spray inside a factory. Or a construction painting where you paint buildings and the interior as well as the walls of the building.
Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us once again on Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC show. You know, we've been talking about how often we're traveling and visiting, new opportunities, learning about new technologies and innovations within our industry. A few months back, we had the opportunity to go to Skills USA. We were doing some judging, we were doing interviewing. We've been in a variety of different places. And along the way, I found a new product that I think would be very exciting for you to get a glimpse of and understand a little bit more about that. So we are joined today by Niti Singh. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be on the show.
It's a wonderful opportunity for us to, share information and innovations with the industry. And we're also so honored for Atul to join us. How are you?
Hey, hi. Thank you so much. I'm doing well.
And where are you joining us from today? This is so cool.
I'm currently in India.
Yeah. And I love that. It's interesting to watch the growth of education. We do these shows every week. We do podcasts, and I monitor all of our social marketing, all of our analytics. And India is one of our, every month after month, it's one of our top 5 amount of viewers. So, showing the amount of education that is, desired in the industry. And so it's really cool to be able to connect with other educators and creators from around the world. And so we're very honored to have both of you here with us today. So we're going to see a lot of things changing in the industry, lots of new tools and technologies. And I'd mentioned it last week. So I want to keep you all updated because we're going through a really interesting transition. So we've actually ordered a mobile studio. So we're going to be taking the studio on the road. So we'll end up with a full production. It'll be for podcast recording. It'll be for live shows. We'll have functional equipment. It's going to have an entire solar. So it'll be like a 6K solar system. So we can operate anywhere and broadcast and train anywhere. And so we're visiting a lot of manufacturers. We've been invited to participate in a lot of industry events. And so we're going to be taking Did You Know on the road. And so we'll see you in a lot more places. And we'll be bringing these types of technologies to you so that you can see them, understand them, and hopefully start implementing them into the program. And so, everyone that's joining us, we would love to know where you're joining from. So, in the chat, just let us know where you're from, if you have any questions along the way, because a lot of times we have a global audience. We have people joining in from all over the place. Being that it's the middle of the summer and it's hot in a lot of places, it's hard to say how many we'll have, but it's a very good possibility that we'll have people from abroad. So, Niti, one of the things that I've noticed along the way with new technologies is we don't always understand the tech, like the terms, right? Understand what they actually represent. And so, we've been very accustomed to seeing things like virtual reality. And I've even recently explored augmented reality. Could either one of you tell us a little bit more about the difference when we're looking at things like this MR and XR technologies?
Yeah, and I can get started, and of course, Atul can add. So, the virtual reality, I think it's something that most of us have at some point experienced. I think, it came from the gaming world,
Yeah,
but essentially, you just get when you wear those headsets, you get immersed into a visual where you feel like you're in the room
right.
that's like presented as you're seeing in the headset. So it's different from the room that you're in. And when you wear the headset that we have, it's or Meta's headset, and there are more, it just brings you into like a room that's set in the middle of a mountain, and you see butterflies, and you see like, that it just is very calming and sort of like, yeah, transports you into a virtual world, but it's
Yeah.
360-degree. You feel very immersed. The augmented reality, it's sort of like, uh, takes the existing room, the space, your table, and all of that, and creates like you can see that while you're wearing the
And
headset too.
interact with it.
Yeah, and so you're sort of like aware of where your table is, you're aware of where the machines are, and that.
Okay.
So it's kind of like simulates your real world as well as allows you to superimpose the um, the programs that we have on top of it, and that's what's extended reality. Atul, I'm sure I've missed something.
No, so like I think you have covered the major part of it. Like we heard earlier that you guys are going around in a mobile studio. Uh, so like VR and MR. So these kind of technologies also take you to different places, and you can also transport the headset to wherever, and you get the same kind of work that you do. Uh, so VR being a major player in the gaming world for the longest time, it did take a while for a company like ours to get past and to get beyond it, and and say that we are for real and we are trying to do this. Uh, for actual work, for like education, we are not just gaming. And a lot of people also came out and told us, are you gamifying the whole thing? So
Right.
like it took some amount of of explaining for us to say that no, we are not trying to gamify the whole thing, but we are trying to uh, get a lot of learning through the technology that is available to you. In like AR, where you're able to where you're able to superimpose a virtual table, say in a room, to see that, say for example, you go to IKEA or one of the large retailers, and like you want to know if the table fits in your house or not. In the mobile app, you can actually
Like
put the
drop
table,
that in.
drop that in. So very similarly, what we've been able to do is we've been able to put all the learning tools right in front of you wherever you are, on a table or on it can be on a real table if you want, or it can be on a virtual table if you want, but you
Hmm.
you need 6 foot by 6 foot space around you, and um, so you are able to put a bunch of things in front of you for a lot of learning on the go. uh, and to to get back to the first point where I started, we are not trying to gamify the whole thing, but we're trying to create a syllabus and a learning tool, a learning aid. We are not trying to replace a teacher, but what we run on the VR has to correlate with the teacher that is running a class. So like some of the things, when you like as a teacher explain in a classroom. So some of the students, like if not all, when they don't actually see something,
Right.
so like physically, it is a little hard to
Yeah.
uh, make a definition out of it and be able to understand it fully. Um, so our tool helps in so for faster learning, once you learn something, say you learn about HVAC and you learn about say brazing or leak testing, so the theory of it, but you've not been able to do it in person because of the limitations of the equipment you have at your school. But the VR is able to provide that for you. The students can wear their headset, do the class on their own for say about 20 minutes or 30 minutes, however long the lesson is, or however long that the teacher decides them to learn using VR. They can manage, so like working the lesson on their own. They can so take it home. So like if required, if the school allows them to take the headsets out,
Right.
or they can try it out when they have extra time. And so like this is something which will aid in the learning. So like before they go to the next class, once they see the whole thing, like on the VR, like they're able to get a feel of it. So like a couple of times or more or once. So then they're able to correlate with the next things in the theory class that they do. So that is where the VR has been helpful, and our work on adopting the like all the like available technology has worked.
Yeah, to just sorry, to just like summarize what he was saying is, so the sense of depth, or the sense of like how long something is, or how complex something can be, or how many turns here, all of that you can have a machine. But then if it's more complex, like the video was talking about, like inside a building, how high the building is, and all those things, you get a sense of it because you're wearing the headset. And that's the depth of software development that has happened, is that we've been very careful about making sure that the actual reality is simulated into the virtual world. So that's why it's augmented.
Yeah, it changes the perspective in many ways. Some of the software that I've used, like a prime example, when you talk about turning the turn. I got a bunch of them, but they're not here right now. Have a manifold gauge, and you're turning the handle on a manifold gauge. In some software, it's a matter of touching the handle, and the handle turns on its own.
Right.
Versus like with yours, where you're doing the mechanic
Yes.
yourself. You're feeling what is actually happening. So you're watching and you're somewhat feeling, because your brain starts thinking, "Oh, my hand is turning this." And all of a sudden I can feel that my hand is turning this. So
Exactly.
it's an interesting change.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
To someone who's watching, it just seems like, oh, it's just this hand moving. But
Yeah.
in what the student, or what the learner, or what the person who's wearing the headset is seeing, is the actual equipment that they are turning.
I think this is a good time. We have quite a few videos that we would like to show, because it's a different experience from using the headset versus watching it. But on some of these videos, we can actually get an idea. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this one off screen just for now. We'll bring that back, and then I will share this separate screen here, and we'll just play one of them. It would help if I had my video up and ready. Let's walk through the repair and maintenance simulator,
Okay.
and I will just play it. There won't be any audio. We'll just throw the video so that it can be a conversational point along the way. This will help people get an idea of the difference in this technology versus some that they may have encountered previously. Hopefully it's going to play. I had some problems earlier with internet, and so it's been bouncy. Like it wouldn't work, and then I'd have 500 plus megabits per second, and then I was like, well, okay, it's acting a little funny. So hopefully this thing, yeah, there we go. I may have to, you know what? Maybe if I take it out of full screen, it won't use as much bandwidth. So we'll see if it plays on here.
And then this is also available on YouTube.
Exactly. And I'll put the links in the description. While that's trying to load, I'll actually go back to our presentation and let's talk about, because this is not just HVAC. You have a variety of different programs that works in different schools. And tell us a little bit about the different programs that you have and how much reach you're already starting to see.
Yeah, so we have 100 plus schools that have currently signed up in our customers. I live in Wichita, Kansas, and right across the neighborhood where I live, we have a welding institute called Heartland Welding Institute. They're a private school, and they have just started using our the simulator, our headset, and just a delightful client to have personally for me to just step out and I get to meet with them and hear their feedback. But yeah, we have programs that are welding, CNC, HVAC, solar installation, and spray painting. And I think the unique thing that really is unique about us is we focus on actual skill building or muscle memory building. So hand-eye coordination, which is such an important skill, in the trade realm or in trade skilled trade education and as well as workers, that's where we really focus on. So we have actual handheld tools, the real welding gun, the real spray gun, or the actual use of their own hand instead of using like a clicker. When I was at the Skills USA conference, I visited the other simulators or companies that were also selling virtual reality simulator. And I couldn't do it with the headset
Right.
because it's so touch and go and it like doesn't feel real.
Doesn't feel like the actual tool.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's actually what caught my attention. It was the welding because I was walking by and I seen exactly one that we see here, and I'm like, "Ooh, that looks like a TIG, like a real TIG welder." And I got closer. I'm like, "That is a real TIG welder handle." And then I started learning more about the software, and that's where I really found that it was very, very useful in our industry. I think I've got not that first video, but I think I've got the other simulation one to play here. Let's see what it does. I should have screen recorded these and put them in a player because it was just working like 2 seconds ago. Silly thing. All right. Well, while that one's loading, we'll go back over and let's talk a little bit about the different companies that you're already working with, which is very intriguing that you have this much reach already.
Yeah, so that's the very it's my fun part of the story is that the company was actually founded because our industry partners requested for a tool that they could use to train their employees who were already employees in the company. And so they approached Sabri, who couldn't be here with us today, and his mentor at a place called IIT in Chennai. It's like the MIT of India. And the incubator there, they approached them and asked if a solution can be developed because they were wasting a lot of materials as well as their employee time in training them. And so they were asking if something could be developed. And so that's how our first software, which was the welding simulator, came about. And because it was an industry used tool, they gave us lots of feedback on actually how it's working in the real world and what they needed. And so that's how we now have a simulator which is heavily used by the industry. And so it feels very real world. And so there was absolutely no scope for like the gap between learning and doing, which is something we have heard so many times, that the learning doing gap. Pfeffer, I think. He has a lovely book on that. But yeah, that's why we have been able to close that gap so quickly, is because it's an industry used software. And we continue to stay very close to our clients and we always welcome feedback so that we can improve on the software.
I'd noticed myself, but looking at different manufacturers, because we've been working not in this realm, but in building some three-dimensional components for the industry. We've been working with one of our partners to bring some of that to the industry for some education. But a lot of times, what I've encountered with many of the software, the programs that we have in the industry, is that they would build the tool and the software and then try to apply it to a product versus like where you've started from the product level and built a tool based on the actual product and how it looks and works and feels out in the industry.
Yeah, and I don't think this slide has, but we just signed on Ford, the
Oh,
Ford
cool.
Motors, and I know Atul has been in talk with other automotive companies too. So yeah, we have had some great interest at the Skills USA conference too, from employers. So I think that is something that is unique to our software.
I would agree. All right, I'm going to try this again through a different portal that I have here and see if this is actually going to play for us now. It was just playing. Go, go. Okay, there we go. All right, so tell us a little bit about what we're seeing.
So yes, and so what we are seeing here is we have them wearing the headset, and um, they have the actual welding tool in their hands, and then the TV that you see behind is broadcasting what that person is seeing in their headset. So the direct application of that is as a teacher, you will be able to view on a laptop or a TV screen wherever you hook up, and we give those. It's called the near field technology that
Oh, sure.
the Wi-Fi that will project from what's inside the head to what you can project on your screen. So you can live inform the student on where they can click or where they can, where they need to make the use their hands and either use the welder or the spray painter or turn the knob. And
Yeah.
of course, all along, as you can see in this screen, there's also instructions that are provided to the student so they can read and work on it too.
Wow, I love that you're able to monitor that remotely because one of the things that we always struggle with our students is following steps. And so
Right.
this gives us the opportunity to go, okay, are they actually, how much time are they looking at this step before they go in and actually do that procedure? But the hand motions, the controls, and how you actually use, your fingers, and it's a very interesting perspective that I've not encountered before.
So to
Yeah.
add to that,
Mhm.
so how this is so worked on is on the HVAC that you see that the like student is following a bunch of instructions. There are lessons with all these like instructions, and there are lessons without any of these instructions. So that gives them
Ah,
test to go back and learn all the you know uh, once they learn it, then they can actually practice without those instructions. So we want them to use this a few times, using the like instructions, and then their instructor can test them without so like any of those instructions. So that's where uh, you know so like we've been so like helpful to the like instructor in making sure that the students are very so thorough in their learning on a certain so module.
and so they've had that experience with it both from the curriculum side as well as the hands-on experience side.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So there are different modules. So with feedback and without feedback. So, or with instructions and without instruction. So once
Okay.
or however many times the instructor may want, they can go with instruction and then sometimes without the instruction. So it's just like I said, the muscle building, muscle memory building is so important for us that that's how we've designed the software.
Yeah, it's such a perfect, an opportunity to show an example. So, like, if I'm an instructor, I'm going to set this equipment up in the front of my classroom. I'm going to demonstrate this one time and go, okay, now you're not going to have instructions. You go over to the module. I want to see what you retained from what I just showed you, and we'll just let you do that over and see if you can actually come to a conclusion on that. And then if not, then I'll assign you the ones with the instructions.
Right, right.
I like it. It's a good challenge.
And then on back end, the instructor is also able to see individually each student's score and then specifically where that student may need more help. And that's a software that the instructor can download. And so each students get the instructor kind of has a meta account, and
Yes.
then each student gets specific accounts that they can log in, and the instructor can set all of that up.
Very cool.
So yeah. So I in schools, and I have two kids in school. I know in schools, instructors are often time strapped, so they
Oh,
have
yeah.
they have so much or so many students to cover, so much instruction to cover, that it often, they're constantly juggling on how do I. But this allows them to provide quality input. So the basics are covered using the simulator. And then when they come to the instructor, they're looking for quality feedback. And the instructor can really spend time in giving them that higher level input.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a really cool demonstration too, where you're showing some use. I know it's for welding, but we're actually showing the application. We're showing the correct places to be based on curriculum that we learned in the classroom. And so it gives them that opportunity to go back and really start honing in on that process and getting the feel of it before they actually move over maybe to, the real thing, especially in welding. Welding is a very it's an artful act. It's something that is very uh, very delicate in its own way, and so learning the distance and the feed rate, the speeds that you're using, is very difficult. And you can go through a whole lot of material trying to get decent at it versus using a virtual where you get to understand the motion and the control, because it really comes down to the actual. You're right, the fundamental, that whole procedure to it. So if we can get them to get that whole control in the virtual realm and then move over to the real aspect, it definitely saves a lot on material and a lot on time. Because I've done a lot of instruction for brazing alone, which would be very similar to the welding one, in trying to help someone along at a speed. Go, no, you're going too fast, or no, it's too far, or oh, wait a minute, you got to turn this up. There's a lot of that, which creates time that could have been utilized in the classroom or working with other students. And if we can get that down pat early on, it sure changes the flow of the classroom.
Yeah, and I'm not sure we mentioned that yet, but there is real-time feedback that the student can see. How fast are they going? And there's a score that gets generated,
Oh,
color-coded too. If it's green, it means that they are going at the right speed, or they're not spraying too much paint onto it. So, or too little. And so
yes.
that allows them, so in this case, that allows them to
That's
really
great.
um, see,
Yeah.
yeah, there'll be warning that'll show up to the student, and so they can pace themselves. They can go too close. If they're too close or they're too far, it gives them feedback on all of that. Just in terms of material cost that gets saved,
Mhm.
you'll recover the cost of buying the equipment.
Yeah. Especially, I think about like the things like painting, like brazing, where we're going through a lot of material in the learning process. Yeah, I can. And we've seen a significant increase in the cost of copper and fittings and brazing rod
Um,
and oxygens and acetylines. So it would significantly reduce our amount of ancillary items. Yeah.
Yeah. And we haven't really gone into the benefits so much, but I
Mhm.
wanted to mention it, like this seems the right time,
Yeah.
is students really love the technology. It just
Yeah.
feels like a natural extension of the world that they have grown up in. Like literally those who are in high school right now have always seen a smartphone, have
Yes.
always seen, and things like those. So when they are very excited when they see a tool like this, because they come in with the perception that trade skills aren't technology friendly, or faculty aren't, or but it's actually gamified where they can go
Mhm.
level by level. And so when they see these headsets, they're excited to try, and And we're essentially using what they love about gaming and letting them learn a skill through it.
Man, it's absolutely fascinating. And I think it's going to be critical for our classrooms going forward. We have had some classrooms that have been a little hesitant to move into this type of training, but the ones that do start using it understand very quickly the benefit of giving those students the opportunity to get better at the skills before they're actually applying them. You're right, the whole fundamental aspect of it.
Yeah. At the Skills USA conference, where we had a booth, and the instructors or the parents would come along with the students, and they had the opportunity to try it out. It was sometimes I would see the instructors hesitate to put it on. I heard as a couple of them say, like, "Oh, I get dizzy," but never the student. The
Right.
students were always excited to come and put it on. Um, yeah,
Yeah, for them, it's a very natural feeling.
yeah.
Yeah, completely. All right. So
Uh,
yeah, that one definitely covers a lot of that. And you
yeah.
should have controls at the top of the screen. Anyone have any questions along the way? Because I know it's a new technology for many. It's been experimented with by some, but it's definitely going to be a critical component in the future of education.
Yeah, we would love to answer any questions that may come.
And so let's talk about some of the analytics because for education that's one of the most critical things. Like all of our assessments that we use for students, we're tracking the results. We're trying to get an idea of how well they're learning, so that way we can compare them towards classes and educators. And analytics really is the key for improving our programs. Tell me a little bit about the analytics that you use in the softwares.
So let me take that. So in welding, if you look at it, for example, so like welding can be as simple or as complicated as it can get, but there are only three parameters that you get tested on. One is the speed, one is the angle, and three is a distance. So these are the three things that uh, so like which you are tested on. One of these three, so like one of the three goes like haywire, your whole weld has to be like repeated. In the like industry, there is a lot of wastage, there's a lot of repeat work only because one of these three things is wrong in a certain weld job. The weld job can be as minimum as or as small as say 5 or 6 inches,
Hmm.
and get all the way up to 5 or 6 feet or more, and in different shapes and in different sizes. And so like apart from the three parameters, what type of welding you use for which job like is
Hmm.
important.
Right. Which
So
material?
which kind of material, uh,
Hmm.
which kind of electrode, which kind of what is the level like of electricity. These are a little more deeper, but uh, so how far you hold the gun, at what speed do you take the gun out,
That's
and
right.
are you able to maintain the same speed? So like are you able to be in the same angle throughout the weld job, or is your hand moving up or down or sideways? Because that is where your weld is going to go wrong. And if you are able to hold it in the same angle at the same speed that is required for that weld job, you are able to have a neat weld job done, and that gets approved by by the person who's buying or by the person who's approving your work. So
Mm.
if that is not done, then they're gonna break it down, or they're gonna get you to break it down and do the whole thing all over again until you actually get the whole thing right. So like industry with respect to welding is very very particular that
Oh, yeah.
it has to be perfect, else a customer is not going to accept it, so they're going to make you repeat the whole thing.
Sure. One of the questions that just came in from Bob O'Brien,
Yeah.
is there custom development? Bob, can you clarify that? Are you interested in custom development? Because I know the industry that you're working with, or are you looking at like custom parameters? That was one of the things I was going to ask. Because, like, say we have those three parameters that we're looking for. If we had a different parameter, say that we wanted to monitor, um, like maybe we wanted, like you mentioned, voltage. Maybe we were wanting to monitor the feed rate. Are there parameters that can be adjusted, or are they all preset?
All, yeah. Of course, so all these parameters are available virtually for you to change, adjust, and see where the difference is. So that is where the syllabus that is there in the like in the software comes to play. So like we give the students the option to change the voltage, the feed, the speed at which it feeds, the the gas flow, how much of
Yes.
gas you want flowing per minute, per hour, so that's where you have all this information right in front of you in a virtual way, which you can click and choose. So which is also as similar to what it is in the real world. Um, but uh, like in the learning, you are able to customize all these settings
Mm.
and see a final result of your welding or your spray painting. And so that is where you save quite a bit uh, on the real like on the consumables that is
Yes.
used. So that's where like it makes a difference. So moreover, more than the saving on the consumables, we speak about the analytics that uh, so like which comes out of every weld job, or every, or like any lesson you do on any of the other softwares. That is something which you won't be able to get in the real world with the real equipment, because say for example, on a spray painting, if on a certain coat you are able to mask the primer with the actual color paint, so that is something that like unless you look deeply, or unless it is seen at a certain angle under the sun, you won't be able to see the difference of color. But in the system, in the software, you're able to get all the intricate details which you possibly can't get in the real world. So that is where this makes a difference. That is where people who bought it for the last 14 years from us so have liked in our proposition.
Very cool. I know, definitely struck some interest there, and I'm glad that it did, Bob. I will make sure that we get connected afterwards. I will introduce you all and start looking at some potential new products, because I see this as very advantageous because we have so many different aspects. Just looking through where you're moving into this HVAC, but you've got HVAC, you've got the refrigeration. There's a lot of opportunity to expand this, and yeah, I will definitely get you all connected. I want to make sure, if you head over, check out the website, skillveri.com, start learning some more about the products, hit the YouTube channel, hit like, subscribe, so you get notifications as they're starting to put some of these videos out, showing some of the new products and how we work through those. And yeah, Atul, did you have a screen that you were wanting to share?
Uh, yeah, I can share a screen.
I'll remove it.
Okay,
Yeah, you should be able
So
to go down to the bottom. Oh, sorry.
if
okay.
Bob, yeah, I just wanted to add while Atul is getting ready, is if a new custom modules or different programs, if that's of interest to you, we are definitely open to considering that. But yeah, we would consider something like a partnership, and
Mhm.
we can do that. Again, and there's
There's a
another,
video. Can you see something?
yeah.
We can.
Okay. So this is HVAC, uh, where a student is performing a leak test in one of the easier lessons, where you have all the instructions on the side. Uh, so there is a like virtual instruction board available, and there is also a holographic hand that is telling you how you need to so like what is the direction that you need to tighten the screw at. You are not going to get all this information in the real world, but in the virtual world, for the students learning it new for the first time or for the first few times, they are able to understand and get a feel, build the muscle memory around, around learning, because this is something that they're going to end up doing for the longest time. These are basic things, basic tests that they will do. So we want these to be part of muscle memory, so it's a time saving when they are at when they're at a, say, like a customer house or customer venue. So these things will not take like as much time for them. So as you finish a certain job, there is also a tick mark that comes.
I love that you can actually show directional use of the hands. One of the things that we're experiencing very significantly in the educational industry is that because we got rid of so many of our shop classes and the general mechanical classes over the last couple of decades, many of students are coming to class. They don't know where left and right is. If we tell them to loosen something, they have no idea what direction loosen is. They don't know what tighten is. They don't know how to open a tape measure. Many things that you would assume should be known are not. And so having the hand that can actually show directional use, you're right, it's teaching that muscle memory before they even get their hands on it. And it's such an important part of what we're trying to do as educators, is to show some of the things that you would assume should be known, but are absolutely not.
Yeah, and to add to that, it's the students sometimes come, especially these days, with the notion that I'm not great with my hands, and they're not even willing to try trade as a career path or as a career option. But when the instructors or the recruitment people who do recruitments for the different classes, or they're given the option to try, when they give it a try in the virtual world, it's kind of a more natural environment for them to enter. They're willing to explore more. And then when they get in and they try it, it's like, I can do it. Oh, this is fun. And they, so just again, in terms of recruitment or the number of students that you can recruit through a headset like this will again pay for the cost of the equipment.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Just in the fundamental operations alone can make a huge
Yeah, yeah.
difference.
And so like, yeah, they give it a try a few times and they're like, okay, this is how it opens and this is how it closes. And now they've got it without feeling that burn that, I'm being watched or somebody's going to judge me and that kind of thing. Because this is like the digital camera now on your phones. You can take 50 photos and pick one.
Right. Definitely. No, super intriguing. Any other questions out in the audience? I know this is a very intriguing new perspective. I'll make some connections afterwards and hopefully start seeing more of this style of training for the industry, because there's definitely a need for it. Many of our educators are struggling to have enough time in the classroom with each student. And a lot of that comes down to teaching those disciplinary actions, those mechanical things, like how to turn something left to open and turn something right to close, or how to lift something, how to maneuver something, how to adjust something. Some of these little details are taking a lot of time in the classroom, and they could be very easily simplified here.
It's not about taking a lot of time. It's about the time crunch that the instructors have for everybody to try on something like this with in the lab. When this allows them to use the extra time that the students have in trying out something like this in a virtual equipment. So it makes things easier for them to uh, uh, so go out and practice again before a test. So that is where this makes a difference for the students and for the teachers. So we are not trying to replace replace like an instructor. This is an aid to the instructor and helps the students in understanding the following classes. So that's where we help.
Yeah, that's exactly how I see that. This is another tool. When I made the transition from being a technician to being an educator, I set down many of my physical tools that I knew, and I started picking up new tools to be successful. I started learning new software. I started using technology to make myself more efficient. And that's all we're trying to do is we're trying to help you be more efficient at the job that you do and to give you these tools to be more successful as an educator.
Yeah, and it's intuitive. I think that is the unique, or that's a learning that I had coming into the virtual world. Is I often thought this is complex, but it's actually very intuitively built.
Yeah.
Some of the schools already have the Meta's headsets that has been purchased. They had different grants, but it just ends up sitting. But so that if they have headsets already, our software just needs to be downloaded onto their existing um,
Oh, really?
headsets. Yeah, and they can just start using it.
Oh, that's a really good thing to point out because I have seen that. I've seen many educational programs have headsets that are not currently being used. So it's not a specific headset. I'm sure you do provide headsets though, but
We do. Yeah,
you
yeah.
can modify existing headsets.
Yes, yes. It's a software that gets downloaded and we can arrange for that. Like again, the
Wow.
local Wichita Public School has some headsets and we are in conversation with them. Uh, yeah, it's just like I don't know what to say. Like it's funny to me that the WSU Tech, which is the community college
Mhm.
equivalent in town, they have headsets that they have just put it in a studio where anybody can come and try, but
Just
they're
stop
not
by.
really, yeah, but they're not really using it for skill development.
Ah,
And this, like, it's like what I say, it's like, you can buy a generator and use it to power your phone. You could, but
right.
it's not the complete
Not what it's
purpose of it.
designed for, right?
Yeah, there's so much more power to it. You could use it for so many, and so that's the difference. You could actually use the headset for doing real skill development for the students, and they love it because it's just a natural world for them.
Okay, so one question that I do have, let's say that I'm an educator and I have purchased some headsets from you and I have purchased license for my students, individual license. Does the student have the ability to log into those programs from home or do they have to be in a specific location to be able to log in their account?
So it
Um,
depends on what you're trying to do as an educator, as a
Mhm.
school, or as a community college. You buy headsets and you buy licenses for the
Mhm.
headset. You can't change it from
Ah,
to the other. So once it's fit to a headset, then it stays on that headset. And generally, the schools don't let the students take the like, equipment back home, but I think they allow them to use it for like after hours of the school. So I think
right,
that's how it is. So I think during the COVID, so schools allowed the usage of headsets across so like across so different counties or different places, different streets from where the students come in from. So I think that is a use case that we had in the so like in the past where we like we had a school that had about 20-25 headsets with our softwares, and they passed on the headsets to the students during the COVID time because they weren't able to have a physical classroom. So that was a use case, but I don't think uh, they do that on a regular
right.
time now. But uh, so if students want to additionally purchase on their own, they are happy to. I mean, so like they're not like so restricted to do so by the school. So I think
Mhm.
they can do that. But I don't think we've had cases like that. So like in the past, it's been the like education institutes that have purchased the headsets and and matched it with what is happening in the classroom. So that's how it runs, though.
Yeah, I really love that idea though that, it is a mobile learning item. If we have any type of scenario where you have to be educated at home or a student is sick for a period of time, a known, then there are those times where the school has that ability to actually send the homework with the student with the understanding of the return of the unit.
Yeah, the whole thing actually just can fit inside a backpack, and that's how we carry it around. It just is like a school backpack that it just fits in, including the accessories and things like those. We can actually, for welding especially, we can give actual coupons. So these are physical plates. You don't have to, but sometimes the schools and the instructors like to simulate the real world, and so that's where the augmented reality come in. So it's an actual physical plate or a pipe that gets handed to them, and then they weld. So they are welding virtually, but there is a physical plate that they see.
Oh, that would be very interesting. Yeah, I love that idea. All right, so let's talk about connecting with you. I'm sure we're going to have some people that would like to learn more. I'll get these links. I'll make sure I'll see if I can't copy those and throw those. I can't grab them, but I'll put those into the video description later so that you can check those out, or just go straight over to Skillveri and you will find all of these videos. And we want you to make some connections and learn more about what's happening in this realm.
Yeah, we would love to talk to you. In fact, we are looking to expand. We have some really ambitious plans for this year and the next. And yeah, I mean, we would be so excited to talk to you. Listen to what solutions you are looking for, how we can support you. We would love to talk to you.
Absolutely appreciate that. And we're so grateful that Atul, you're joining us from India. It's what, like 3 o'clock in the morning for you, probably?
It is 3 o'clock in the morning for me, but I am anyway going to be up at 5 o'clock for a golf game. So like, I'm happy to be up to speak about the work that I do.
Yeah, that's what passion brings to something like this. When we truly enjoy what we do, it becomes a part of who we are. And that's what really made an impression for me, is that I could tell that you're very passionate about making something as real as possible, taking technology and bringing it into real world applications. And so that's why I wanted to have you all here and to share your story and to share your success with us. And make sure to get over to skillveri.com, and I will make some personal introductions. Bob, I will reconnect you all afterwards. And if anyone would like to connect as well, just let me know and I'll make some arrangements and see if we can get some other conversations going. Okay, any other last questions before we get out of here? Anyone in the audience, or do either one of you have anything else that we want to add to the conversation?
No, I think I'm happy to take any kind of questions which so people may have now or later. They can send us an email and we will reply to them.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, and I wanted to thank you, Clifton. Thank you so much for having us. It's been a pleasure ever since we've met to interact with you, meet with you. I hope we'll meet at your conference that's coming up early next year.
Yeah, that's going to be a great time. I'm really looking forward to that. And this is what we do. We try to connect the industry and give everyone the resources that they need to be successful. So when we see new innovations and technologies that will make the industry successful, we want to shine some light on it. And that's what we're here for. Well, thank both of you for joining us. And hopefully we'll have some people connecting. And I look forward to seeing you all here in the future.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you all next week on Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC Show.